Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, it's WICR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe Archino back here, and the question is simple. If Cristiano Ronaldo does not play in the Champions League semifinal, the first leg against Manchester City, does Manchester City have a chance to start off that segment of the competition with a substantial leg up against Real Madrid? And I think you'd have to answer that question carefully, but I think City absolutely has a chance to walk away with that winners. And it's one of those things where when you look at it, Cristiano Ronaldo, the last time we saw him play a match in this competition this season, he really just showed why he's so special, why a player of his caliber, when he is needed, steps up to another level that other players can't get to. His 3 goals the last time that he took the pitch for Real Madrid in the Champions League was with tremendous circumstances behind it, and he was outstanding. He showed exactly why he is who we all consider him to be. But it seems as of right now nothing is guaranteed as of right now, but the reports as of Friday morning are that he's set to miss the match against Manchester City. He sustained an injury this week, nothing major, but he will be out this weekend of his La Liga fixture, and he most likely could be out this Tuesday against Manchester City. But as we look at it, City is a very difficult club to figure out this season because in the Premier League, a competition that they should have won with all the acquisitions they made this summer, bringing in Raheem Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne, the already existing talent they had there, this should have been a league that was theirs for the taking, but instead, Leicester City Football Club, who was 5,000 to 1 odds to win the title at the start of the season, is poised to win this title. So their inability to succeed in the Premier League is very, very head-scratching. But their success in the Champions League, it's a little bit easier to see. Sometimes you just need to get the breaks, and they really have gotten the breaks in the competition, really just against the people they faced. PSG was no easy draw by any means in the quarterfinals, but it was one of the easiest draws that there was available to them. And Manchester City is a club that in this competition has not been on the favorable end of getting the better matchups. They've had some very difficult draws the last few seasons, but this year things definitely paved their way better for them. They had some very favorable matchups, and they got it done against PSG, and now they're poised to play Real Madrid, and the catalyst for Real Madrid and Cristiano Ronaldo might not be able to go, and that could put them in a significant position right off the start in the semifinals. Now, it's one thing if Vincent Kompany isn't able to go because City's biggest woes this season are obviously on the defensive side. I mean, they really have struggled to defend this season. Their back line has not been good, and it's always when Vincent Kompany is out. When Vincent Kompany is out, they just have no leader who can control them and keep them organized defensively. Now, when Vincent Kompany is able to play, he's still not at his best level because the injuries have really taken their toll on him. His consistent calf injuries have been a major problem. He's been out significant periods of time, and when he's been back, he's never been able to really show the top form that he's shown in the past. But his leadership in the back line and in the defense is something that is always there. And having him available and having his presence is something that will help City tremendously. And Kevin De Bruyne is the other factor that you've got to put into the equation. And he has been the word consistency for City. He is it. He has been the player for them who has taken care of business all year. I mean, if you look at if you compare their 2 biggest signings that they made between Raheem Sterling and between Kevin De Bruyne, I think you've got to say Kevin De Bruyne every single time. He's just been everything they've needed him to be and more. Last season, he led the Bundesliga in assists. This season, he has taken on more of a scoring role for Manchester City, and that's something that they desperately needed him to do. He has such a good awareness of what he needs to do at a given time, and I think it all kind of was epitomized that he was the one who scored the goal against Paris Saint-Germain to send City for the first time in club history to the semifinals. But Real Madrid is a juggernaut. They are a different beast that an English Premier League club does not face on a consistent basis. And the Premier League is the most competitive league in the world, but Real Madrid just has players and levels of depth that you just do not see. I mean, La Liga is not as strong of a league as the Premier League, but of course the three top clubs of that league are just on an unearthly level with the level of players that they could wield, and it's going to present tremendous challenges. But if there's one thing that you've learned about Real Madrid, it's that they struggle with togetherness at times. They struggle with getting their players sometimes to all play together. And I think we saw that become the detriment to that club in the Champions League semifinals last year. Against Juventus, the three stars of Benzema, Bale, and Ronaldo struggled to play together. Ronaldo was almost invisible in the semifinal, the second leg against Juventus, where Juve prevailed to move on to the championship game against Barcelona, and that was honestly, I think, the biggest reason Juve won. Ronaldo was invisible. Well, this time it's a little bit of a different circumstance. He may not be able to go due to injuries, but as it stands, Manchester City has more of a chance than I thought that they had. And just because you don't do well in one area of competition doesn't mean the others will all be affected. And that's been the case. For City, their best play this year has been reserved for the Champions League. It's also helped that they've gotten some beneficial draws, but they have saved their best play for the biggest competition. And Juventus earlier this season got off to a historically bad start in Serie A, but that bad start in Serie A did not follow them to the Champions League. It was honestly kind of funny because Manchester City had a perfect start in the Premier League this season. 5 wins from 5, no goals conceded. But in the Champions League, they face Juventus, who has a historically bad start in Serie A. Juve comes out on top. That just there shows you the differences that can exist between different competitions. And like I've said, this has been the competition for Manchester City all year. If Ronaldo can't go, it could be very interesting. And if City is able to come out on top and put up some points and walk away with a victory and a couple goals at home against Real Madrid, will be very, very interesting. And the more pressure will be placed on Real Madrid. And if there's one thing that we've also seen now, Zinedine Zidane has done a really good job. It's a job with tremendous, tremendous pressure that doesn't exist anywhere else aside from Barcelona and some of the other giant heavyweights. But he had been outcoached against Diego Simeone, and it was very evident to see. But then he has really done a good job at adjusting, and he's really made up some ground when he's coaching against some of the other top managers in the world. But Manuel Pellegrini, I think the level of experience that he has could also be something to take into account here, because Zinedine Zidane, again, is still very young in this age of playing in these top competitions, getting his players ready, and I think sometimes it helps him because he can just not micromanage and tell his players, just go out there and do what you do. And I think a lot of times that is when Real Madrid is at their best, is when there's no micromanaging involved and the players can just go out there and play their own games. But we are poised for an incredibly interesting semifinal, because if Ronaldo doesn't go, I think the fans of Manchester have a very big reason to be excited. And there's as if there wasn't as much a reason to be excited enough. But until then, Jersey, Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino. And I'll see everybody next time.